You're listening to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast about one of the most legendary bands of all time, Deep Purple. We take a look at the music, history, and people behind the band Deep Purple and beyond. Welcome to the Deep Purple Podcast, the first and only podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode number 142, Gillan and Glover, Accidentally on Purpose. And coming to you from Chicago Rock City, it's Nathan Beaudry.
And coming to you from the suburbs of Providence, I'm your co-host, John Triple Vax Matola.
Oh, coming in hot off of his booster shot.
Oh my God. Thought I was going to be able to make it tonight.
You seem in pretty good spirits.
I am, but the first like 75% of the day was hot ass.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was not great.
Yeah, for my booster was a couple weeks ago. Yeah, and it was like 6 or 7, maybe 8 hours. It was like, but it wasn't as bad as dose number 2.
Yeah, but yeah, this one is actually my second dose. I was like just really tired, but then like for like maybe the first half of the day, and then I was fine. Today I was like, I was zonked out because I got it yesterday afternoon about 3, and like I just like woke up around like 6, 7 maybe, and I was like, oh, I can't even move. And then like I went back to sleep, and then I got up and I moved to my living room, and then I fell asleep again, and like like my back was kind of achy a little bit, which I didn't have last time. So kind of felt like, when you're, getting sick or getting the flu type of thing, but very mild. But I felt like I was in slow-mo all day, just kind of, trudging around and just not feeling great. But, I know me. And so like halfway through the day when you're like, you think you're going to be okay? I'm like, yeah, I think so. Because, sometimes when you're not feeling well, you know when you have to sit still, and other times when you have to kind of get up and shake it off a little bit, and you need to move around a little bit. So, but feeling good because I know that it's better than the alternative.
It is a lot better than the alternative. Glad to
and
hear
that being
you got it.
Yeah, me too. And that being said, cheers.
Oh.
I'm drinking on the show tonight.
Oh my goodness, this is unprecedented.
Except for when I was in your house.
Yeah, you made up for 2 years of not drinking on the show. What's the special occasion? Why are you drinking on the show?
A little glass of red, because it felt like, I don't know, because I had the day off. I made sure that I had the day off, but it almost felt like a sick day. Like I literally didn't do anything. I didn't leave the house. No,
you want to make it feel like you actually got something out of your day off.
Exactly. So wine.
I did the same thing. I got my shot. It was like, oh, this is good. I'll get my shot. Then I'm off tomorrow. So if I don't feel good, it's no big deal. And then of course my entire day off is wasted feeling sick. And then it's like the next day, oh, back to work. Awesome. It's like, maybe I should have just scheduled a day. I knew I was working the next day. I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
I'm coming to you from Chicago Rock City. So
yeah, what is that about?
So, I got home, rushed around, got dinner, made for the kids, got everything done. And then I was like, okay, I got 10 minutes before we start the show. I'm going to take a really quick shower. And at dinner, the Detroit Rock City had come up at dinner. I can't remember what happened. We were talking about Kiss, and my Jen was like, oh, she was trying to name a few Kiss songs. I was like, oh, you've probably heard this one and that one. Like, you've heard Lick It Up. She's like, no, I haven't. So I played it first. She's like, no, I haven't. I was like, okay. I was like, that's a hard one to avoid. Oh. And she's like, is Detroit Rock City a song? I was like, yeah, it is. It's a great song. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to take a really fast shower before the show. And then run downstairs and do it. So I went upstairs to the shower, turn it up, put Detroit Rock City on. And then what I forgot is like a minute and a half of sound effects before the song starts.
Oh, so yeah.
It was literally like, and I'm turning the shower off and shutting off the music. I just heard like the guy walk into the car and all the keys and everything.
Yeah.
I was like, that would have been a lot cooler if I could have at least listened into like 2 minutes of the actual song instead of whatever 30 seconds. But so then I just ran down here and here we are.
All right.
So hey, if you want to in the new year support, why don't you make, what, the new year is a time for reflection, and maybe what you should be reflecting on is, are you giving value to the things that give value back to you? Are you paying it forward? Are you showing gratitude to some of the great content that gets provided to you from us, most importantly? Then you know what? If you want to start the new year off right, why don't you resolve to sign up on Patreon or on PayPal for as little as $1 a month? You can help support the world's longest running and greatest podcast about Deep Purple for as little as $1 a month, or £1 a month if you are on the other side, or one whatever a month wherever you are. I don't know how it breaks down in other countries. So speaking of our patrons, we have coming in at the executive level at the £10 tier, we have Dr. Jill Brees. At the turn it up to $11 tier, we have Clay Wambacher, Frank Thielgard Mortensen, Alan Ain't Too Proud to Beg, and Mikkel Steen. At the $10 Someone Came tier, we have Ryan M., Jeff Bryce, Gerald Kelly, Victor Campos, and Saul Evans. Thank you to all of you for your generous donations. You can also buy merch at our Etsy store. We have shirts and mugs available. And you can help support the show additionally by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. With all that out of the way, we are here to talk about what may be one of the most requested episodes in a long time. And that is something called Gillan Glover Accidentally on Purpose. We kind of left a little bit of a, a cliffhanger at the end of our House of Blue Light episode about it. And this is an interesting episode. So you've got your wine there, John. What I have is this. Do you recognize
What is that?
this?
Looks like a chiclet.
A big chiclet. You see my fingers, right?
It looks like a coconut. What is that?
Yeah, it's a young coconut. So here I go. We are going into hopefully this doesn't ruin all my recording gear. I'm trying to open up this coconut here, and I'm going to make myself a tropical drink because, John, we are going to the tropics for this episode. If I don't cut my hand off.
You just hear like ah! You like the Wilhelm scream. So you're going Gillan and Glover tropical when I have my glass of wine and I'm going like Tommy Bolin over here.
Yeah, exactly.
The, come taste the band goblet. So I'm a little off. I should have known. I should have made like a mojito or something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why I texted you earlier to say to see if you were out today, because I was going to say, hey, stop by somewhere and get a young coconut and we'll do this together. But I might just spend the rest of the show trying to get this thing open.
Well, while you're doing that, so you know how I love my reviews. So
oh yes, please.
So anyways, I had a friend's wedding this past weekend, very good friend, and we were actually in the area, and he wanted to go out somewhere for lunch before, in the afternoon. I was spending the day with him. He's a little nervous, so he's like, "Let's go, to a pizza place," and I'm just like, "All right." So keeping in the theme with the pizza place. Well, this one is short, and then I have another one that's just funny. But this was well, I mean, this could be anywhere. So I'll just say the chain is Papa Gino's.
Oh yes.
Didn't want to go there because I didn't like it when I was in high school, and I didn't like it now. There was in the particular one that we went to, there were like cobwebs like around the front door.
Oh,
there was dried up marinara sauce around like the trash can where you dump the thing with the tray. And I'm just like, all right, this is obviously dried up from like yesterday. Like, what is this shit? So I'm like, all right, I got to see if there's any, like, this was in a little local place. So I'm like, I wonder if there are any funny reviews about this. So there were two. One, my boyfriend and I ordered dinner from here, and there was a piece of glass in the calzone.
Jeez.
So obviously he didn't want to eat it, obviously.
Yeah, I would say so.
So that was one, maybe kind of funny, but really kind of scary. The other one was a review of the place, but it was a 1-star review, but it wasn't funny. But I thought it was funny because you know how they have the different usernames, sure. And so and sometimes it's like a person's name or just like a full name, or it's a nickname or something. And these are Google reviews, and the name of the reviewer was Rob Lowe. Which I thought was really funny.
It'd be great if it was actually the Rob Lowe.
because I'm thinking like, all right, this is either this guy's name and he's got the same name as Rob Lowe, or it was even funnier just thinking that Rob Lowe is at this little, chain restaurant, like in a little podunk town somewhere, and like
Yeah. So
had a really bad
I
experience.
guess, how do you describe Papa Gino's? And I mean, that's regional, right? It's only in New England or maybe in that area, because
Um,
I've never seen it
I don't
anywhere
know.
else.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you think of the Papagino's, Little Caesars, Pizza Hut. Um, I mean, even the sign looked like it was like dirty. You know what I mean? It's like
Oh
I've never
yeah, yeah.
seen like I've seen like Pizza Hut's rebrand itself with like the new kind of like logo. I haven't seen a Little Caesars in like forever.
I
Um,
think they're big around here. I think they're headquartered. I think they're headquartered in like Detroit or something.
but but Papagino's, it just looks like they've had that same like red and green logo, like just kind of cafeteria style looking restaurant forever. It's just a really bad pizza place. Like, I mean, we didn't even get pizza there because later on he had ordered pizza from a local place for after the wedding, for like when we went back to the hotel.
Mhm.
It was kind of a for everybody that was going back. And so I was like, well, since we're already here, why don't we just have lunch here and get a grinder or something? Said, no, I want to go somewhere else. I'm like, all right, I don't know why, because the pizza at that other place was fantastic. I mean, I was also like had a lot to drink, so I'm sure anything would have tasted good, but um but yeah, so I would say Papagino's is like just not a great like chain, not really,
No.
nothing outstanding about it.
So what's the goods? So you read it. So you were like, I'm gonna check out the Papa Gino's reviews.
Yeah. I mean, after we left, I was just like, I'm like, all right, there was like not a soul in this place. Like when we pulled up, he's like, is this place closed? And I'm like, all right, that's not a good sign.
No.
um, and then, we just went in. It was like, it just kind of, I don't know. It made me think of when we used to go to like Burger King, McDonald's. It had that really fast foody like vibe to it, but not updated. It was just really kind of dark and I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't really
Yep.
do fast food a lot, and I don't go to pizza place. And we're having pizza later, so it's like, all right, let's order like anything else, which was
Yeah.
like kind
Right.
of ridiculous. I'm like, why don't we just go somewhere else? But you know, it's all good. So, how you doing over there with the coconut?
Oh, very good. So got my coconut open, emptied out all the I got some ice here. Emptied out all the juice. I'm gonna put some ice in this coconut. I'm going to pour some of the, well, I've got here some dark rum, the Kraken here.
Oh, Kraken.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put some Kraken in there. All right. I'm not a big sweet drink guy. So this is a little out of the ordinary for me. I got some coconut juice or water, I guess you would call it. And then
Mhm.
some pineapple juice. Open up a fresh pineapple juice. All right. And there you have it. Nate's secret recipe. A secret accidentally on purpose cocktail. Got my cheers. Let's have a taste. It's all right.
After all that, you're like, yeah.
Yeah, beers are usually easier. I think it needs a little something, but hey, you know what? Here we are. We got the tropical drink. We're rocking right now. We're ready. We're ready to dive into the tropics. But before that, so do you have a review then from Papagino's?
No, that was that.
Oh, I thought you were gonna read a like
Oh, what the
actual.
what?
I
Rob
thought you were leading up to like that. You had like you went on Yelp and got some reviews.
Oh no. The first one was the glass one, and the second one was just Rob Lowe, Rob Lowe's review, which was not a great review, but it wasn't amusing. The amusing part was is that it just said Rob Lowe 1 star, and I'm like, ha, and that was the part that made me laugh. So
Rob Lowe. Really, I choose to believe that's the real Rob Lowe. I thought
it's no, I mean, it's just like if you were reading reviews and all of a sudden you're just like Bette Midler 1 star. You're like, what?
Bette Midler.
I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just like a name that's not, that common,
No, it is not. All right. So, accidentally on purpose. As we left off, the House of Blue Light episode. Well, before we get into that, what is your history of this album?
Well, this album, I just I remember being blown away that Ian Gillan and Roger Glover had a solo album together. I mean, I can't recall where I saw the cassette. I'm sure that it was, during one of my, I obviously got on cassette. I don't think I've ever owned it on vinyl or even CD. But, and looking for everything Deep Purple back in the day, I found this. And, there was always that mystique of, Ian Gillan and Roger Glover joining Deep Purple at the same time, leaving at the same time, rejoining at the same time. It was just like, okay, like this is, so I always associated those two guys with each other. They were in episode 6 together. So, wow, they made a solo album together in the 80s. And it was like this, this really weird cover or something. And I mean, I didn't know what kind of music was inside of it. I just like everything else. At that time, I don't know if I was expecting something like Deep Purple, or at that point, I knew like the Family Tree stuff well enough to be like, all right, this could potentially be off the rails. but I enjoyed I wound up enjoying the music because it was very, different, which is for if it came out around 88 or 89, it was weird because I was kind of singular minded with what kind of music I liked, but I occasionally liked pop, more kind of popish or different type of stuff like that too. And what I really liked was the inside of the album, the album art with Gillan with the hair and Glover like screaming at him from the side so much that I would draw it in art class. And I think that's
Oh yeah, I think you sent me that one.
Yeah, I have like the I think that's one of the first like kind of like art class drawings that I did in like pencil and with shading and everything, because I always had this fascination with Ian Gillan because he just had like so much hair, and I wanted my hair to be just like his.
Especially when like the Gillan from when we started to get into it, like that era, like the late 80s, early 90s, Gillan was just that big mane of hair.
Yeah, exactly. So like, where it hit its zenith around like, Born Again, Black Sabbath, and then just continued like that, through like through the 90s and until he, cut it shorter. But I think I was just obsessed with his hair because I wanted my hair to be like that. Because to me, that was like the ultimate rock star hair, and in that one he had like brushed over one eye and he was just kind of like looking off to the side, like, all right. And Glover's like, ah! Like screaming at him. And the inside cover. So but yeah, I always oddly enough always enjoyed this album. And I say oddly enough because we know that my tastes can kind of run narrow at times, but especially back then. Now it's a lot more diverse, but I did really like this one and haven't heard it.
I've been told by listeners you only like heavy stuff.
They may be correct.
Here it is. Here we are after New Year's, and I feel like we're here. We are boozing it up.
Well,
we didn't have enough for New Year's. I'm drinking a tropical cocktail here.
Well,
I will revise my earlier estimate. I think when I first put it all together, I put the ice in, and it wasn't like cold enough. But now that the ice is dissolved a little bit and it's nice and cold, it's quite refreshing. I just gave everyone the recipe if you want to try it. I don't know what amounts I put in. Whatever amount of rum, pineapple, and lime would be good too. Rum, pineapple, and coconut water you prefer. Look at all this extra coconut water I've got. Nice little hydrating drink later on.
I don't like coconut water.
You don't? I do. I know. I can understand why you wouldn't. But plus, I can cut out little bits of coconut to snack on too from this.
From young coconut.
Yeah, young coconut.
I mean, I tried, but it's like it kind of, I don't know. Coconut water's got some kind of, I mean, on its own, if it's mixed in to a drink or something, yeah, but on its own, like I really wanted to like it too. It's kind of like a naturally, hydrating drink and all this other stuff. And it's, I don't know.
Don't force it. Life is too short. So my history with the album is probably much along the lines of you. This is my CD copy that I got. Probably in the early 90s. It's got in the back of it, I don't remember at all where I got it, but on the back it's got a little if you can see that, a little made in England sticker.
Oh, see, and your picture of Gillan and Glover's in color, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
see, the one that I
unfortunately
have
Glover's
was
face
not.
is covered by the Made in England sticker, but I have too much. I don't want to take that sticker off. Um, and yeah, I might have picked it up at like HMV in Boston because we used to go up there all the time looking for the rare imports.
Mm.
I may have, I wouldn't have ordered it then. It would have been too complicated back then to get it. So it's probably either that or I got it at HMV or yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. Um, but yeah, that's my copy, and I have no memory of when I got it. I just remember we got it, and then we would that like we listened to it like a few times together, and it was just a lot. You know, I have just memories of it being a goofy, weird, kind of fun, silly album,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the appeal of it. Is it's not. And we'll get into that probably a lot when we get into the album, but it
Yeah,
wasn't it wasn't
yeah, I
this
feel
like
like
serious hard rock album. It was just kind of them having
yeah,
fun.
I feel like the time that we had gotten this, like it was probably my first exposure to how quirky or different that Ian Gillan could be, because like all the other things like the the Cher Kazoo CD and all that, I don't think came out until later. So and obviously all that kind of stuff showed that side of him. So um I think this was the first time where like I saw more of that side of him coming out, and I think I appreciated it too, just being like, all right, these guys are doing their thing, they're being different, they're being kind of like it sounded and we'll get into when we're listening to the tracks, that sounded relaxed, it sounded like they were having fun, it sounded like an album that you'd listen to in the tropics,
Mhm.
type of
Yep.
thing, that kind of whole vibe, which I mean definitely came through, in the music.
So as we left off in the House of Blue Light, Ian and Roger Glover are both burned out from the writing process and the grueling process of doing the album. And Roger Glover, I think it was Roger Glover's idea that he said to Ian, like, "Hey, I know the perfect idea to get over this burnout for making an album. Let's go make an album." So Glover says, "I was living alone in my house in Connecticut, and Ian came over and stayed for quite a long while. I think it was a large chunk of the summer of '86. It was long, hot summer, and I don't think we quite achieved the objective, but along the way, we realized that we liked writing odd stuff together. In episode 6 in the 60s, we were a songwriting partnership, but when we joined Deep Purple, we sort of gravitated to our own particular areas. Although we still wrote some lyrics together, he developed his own direction and style of writing and singing, while I concentrated more on the bass guitar and writing music. To a certain extent, that summer, we rediscovered our former selves." Glover goes on to describe the experience of doing this album as being very freeing, exploring musical roots, and he says consuming large quantities of alcohol and all sorts of other inspiration, which he puts in quotes. So of that, Glover says, "I'll say no more." So I don't know what he's talking about there. Not really known to be drug guys, so I don't know what other sorts of inspiration he's talking about. But there you
Oh,
have it.
who knows, maybe a little sweet leaf.
Yeah, I don't even. I mean, maybe I don't even know that they were that into
Well, I don't
that.
know. I mean, I just think that like, if there are any like, bands or even people that aren't into hard drugs, I mean, that's kind of the gateway,
Mhm.
so to speak, where it's like it's on par with alcohol, drink a little this, smoke a little pot, and it's no big deal. And then when you get into the harder stuff, it's like, oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
or I don't know, maybe he's talking about loose, loose women. I don't know.
Now that I believe.
It could be not drugs at all. It could just be a lot of whores.
Well, the laws might be a little different in Montserrat. So they go to Montserrat. They bring very little with them. They go to Montserrat. Ian brings a harmonica. They both bring acoustic guitars. Glover also has his Hondo Longhorn bass, a Fender Strat, a Lynn drum machine, a Yamaha QX1 sequencer, and a Yamaha DX7. And he says, like in those days, obviously they didn't have any computers or anything. They were just recording everything to tape. So they're going to Air Studios in Montserrat. In Kerrang magazine, Glover says, "Our reason for making the album was to have a good time and to do something people wouldn't expect from us and do something we couldn't write within the confines of Deep Purple." And Ian Gillan says in that same article, "When you think about it, Purple have always thrived pretty much on diversity. John Lord did his concerto. I did Jesus Christ Superstar. It's good because it keeps the frustrations away. You can let loose with your own ideas." So there you go. The guys fly out to beautiful tropical Montserrat. to have a good time. This album is got a load of different people on it. Backing vocals, you have Bet Sussman, Chrissy Faith, Lydia Mann, and Vanessa Thomas. Drums are Andy Newmark. He played with Sly and the Family Stone. He played with John Lennon, B.B. King, Eric Clapton, George Harrison, David Bowie. So no slouch. He's been on the scene, on the studio scene for a long time. Electric guitars by Nick Morrock. Flugelhorn, Randy Brecker. Guitar, Ira Siegel. Interesting on the notes, it says hi-hat Andy Newmark, but if you played the drums, of course you play the hi-hat. So it only lists one track. So the track that it lists him on hi-hat is covered by a sticker. Evil Eye. So maybe he just plays hi-hat on that, like he doesn't, but it seems weird to give him a separate credit. Like if you play drums, like we can accept that you also play the hi-hat separately. On horns, we have George Young, Joe Monona, and Randy Brecker. Keyboards, Lloyd Landesman. And then piano on track is that. We'll get there eventually. I Can't Dance to That might be the one. We'll get to it later. Dr. John. So big name there. And soprano saxophone, George Young. I think I mentioned him earlier. So there you go. On technical, it's produced by Ian Gillan, Roger Glover, engineered by amazing Nick Blagona. So very nice. It's not Nick Amazing Blagona like a Martin the Wasp Birch situation. Puts it right before amazing Nick Blagona. And then recorded by Frank Oglethorpe, Carl Lever, Ken Blair, Bruce Robbins, Dave O'Donnell, Peter Hodgson, Charles Worthy Lewis. And there you go. So those are all the technical people. And then that brings us to, of course, once we get through all of those amazing talents that are behind the album, then that brings us to the artwork, which you alluded to earlier. But John, what do you think about Accidentally on Purpose album cover?
There was always something interesting about it that I liked. I mean, on first looking at it, it always made me think of like Lego pieces, and I never really looked at it too closely after that, but you can see it's kind of like that, angular, almost like Lego people looking, illustration of like actual like people, like guys with like what do you call them? Overcoats and like fedoras on and stuff like that. But yeah, I always saw it as this kind of like a very geometrical, kind of album cover. Never really like dove too deeply into it or thought about it too much, but just always thought it was a really interesting cover, especially with the colors, which you'd think like a bluish purple and a brown would not be that interesting, but it's like it always sticks in my mind. Like when you say the Gillan Glover Accidentally on Purpose, like this image comes into my mind of this cover.
Yep. And they're all standing on like a grid too, like
right.
a black floor with like yellow grid lines on it. They're all standing in their little squares. I love this album cover, and it always really jumped out to me too. And it kind of reminded me of the like the Money for Nothing video, that kind of early computer rendered. I don't even know that it is computer rendered. For all I know, it could be actually an actual illustration or painting, but it looks like computer rendered. Like they cut and paste all of these little guys in the trench coats who are all doing the same thing. And I just realized they all have their hands over their eyes like this, like they're using binoculars. Although there are no binoculars, you just see their hands. Either that or they're all crying. But yeah, it's this little like computerized detectives, and it reminds me of when the Money. I remember when the Money for Nothing video first came out, and I was a kid, and I saw it, like my mind being absolutely blown by how incredible it looked, because it was done with computers, and it was, oh my god, this is the most incredible computer graphics I've ever seen. I'm used to playing Pac-Man, and then you see the Money for Nothing video. If you're a younger person listening to the show, that might sound ridiculous, but at the time it was unbelievable that they could do that with computers. Where the only computer graphics I had seen at that point were just from really early video games. Because I think that came out like 82 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. So this kind of conjured up that same kind of vision. I've always like really liked this style of art too. I think it's pretty cool. So it was designed by Rob O'Connor, and the illustration is by David De Silva. His only other credit is Paul McCartney's "All the Best." So a couple of good ones there. Photography on the inside is by Simon Fowler, and we're going to see in a minute a lot of great pictures from him. And there's also additional photography by Ian Gillan and Roger Glover. So that's the front cover. But the back cover is a photo of, actually, is this the back cover? This might just be the insert. Yeah, this is just an insert. I think when you open it up, at least, is this my copy? Yeah, when I open up my copy of the CD, this is what I see, which is a track listing. And then you've got Ian and Roger on the beach in little beach chair, little striped beach chairs in their little shorts. And they're just kind of laughing and having good times. Ian's drinking like a cup of tea or something, and Roger Glover's pointing at something in the distance. But looks like they're having, wearing some 80s shorts. They're probably a little too short. And then the famous picture on the back cover, again, the track listing. And then you've got that famous picture of Roger Glover wearing his little beret, gripping his hand like he's like furious and just screaming at Ian Gillan, who seems to just not even notice that he's there.
Very cool. I love it.
Then we've got a little close up of that picture there. Oh, actually, maybe it's not a drink. He might be holding a pack of cigarettes. When you look at it a little closer, there's that picture. There's a picture of there you go. Ian Gillan looks like drinking a young coconut. Cheers. I'm gonna take a sip from mine.
See, now this one I've seen before, but I believe that I've seen it like, smaller and in black and white. Like a lot of these color photos, they were in black and white, I think. In the cassette version anyways. And but I can't remember. I haven't seen it in a while.
This one might be in his book. I'll have to look later on. It might be in
Oh yeah, it could be in the book too. And I don't, were there color photos in that original pressing?
I've got it right here.
Or if that's is that the one with the purple cover? I don't even, is that the original pressing? I don't even know.
Yep.
Okay.
This is yeah, you've got some black and white photos. Some color photos. Sorry, I'm chomping on some coconut here.
Okay.
There's a picture that might be also from the there's a picture of Ian Gillan with his daughter and with Roger that looks like it could potentially be in Montserrat as well, or maybe some other tropical location. The famous picture with his dong out with George Harrison. I'm not seeing that one, but yeah, for whatever reason we may have seen it in black and white at some point. But yeah, Gillan's wearing a deep purple t-shirt and it looks like nothing else. But potentially, if he's wearing any shorts, they're very short. It could be like a Speedo or something.
And yeah, he's probably wearing booty shorts. Yeah.
It looks like he's drinking a coconut. Roger Glover's got the tropical shirt on and his glasses like hanging off and wearing like a straw hat. And just looks like they're just totally relaxed and having fun. I got this picture of Roger Glover on the beach again with, looks like he's wearing jams.
Jams.
Which in 1988 he probably was. Who wasn't? And he
Forgot about jams.
He has a camcorder and he's like, looks like he's having fun. Here's a shot of Ian Gillan shooting pool. And here's a picture of Gillan and Glover singing with all the backup singers, the 4 backup singers we just mentioned earlier, all singing away together, which is kind of fun. And there's a close up of John's favorite little picture of Roger yelling at Ian. So fun. Just looking through that, if you picked up the CD and you've got the liner notes for the first time, you're looking at this and you're like, all right, this looks like it's going to be a fun album. You might not know what to expect musically, but you're going to be in for some fun for sure. Okay, so that's the kind of lead up to the album there. That's all the album artwork. And before we actually get into some of these tracks, we have to, of course, thank our core level patrons. Coming in at the $7.77 Keep It Warm Rat tier, we have Michael Vader. At the episode $6.66 tier, we have Steve Coldwell, Arthur Smith, Anton Glaving, and Richard Fusey. At the $6.65 Almost Evil tier, we have Kenny Wymore. At the $5.99 Nice Price tier, we have Fielding Fowler and Robert Smith. At the $5 moneylender tier, we have John Convery, German Heindel, Adrian Hernandez, Jesper Elman, Alexei the Perfect Stranger Slepikoff, James North, Mark Hodgetts, Kev Roberts, Will Porter, Zwapper the Electric Alchemist, and Tim Southern Cross Johnson. Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support and continued support of the Deep Purple podcast. All right, so here we go into the tracks. So this was recorded in 2 phases. The first phase was in Montserrat, includes the songs Clouds and Rain, Evil Eye, She Took My Breath Away, Dislocated, Via Miami, and I Thought No, as well as some other tracks that were released as bonus content. And then the second phase, they moved to the Power Station in New York, where they finished the album and did I Can't Dance, Can't Believe You Want to Leave, and Telephone Box, as well as some bonus content. So the main kind of bulk of the album was kind of done in Montserrat, and they finished it up back in New York. All right.
So are we just listening to the original release, or?
Oh yes, yeah, we're just gonna listen to the original release, and then we can, that way we can have an accidentally on purpose bonus tracks and video perhaps episode in the future. Got to always leave it open. So yeah, as is kind of tradition with the Deep Purple podcast, whether intentionally or not, we try to review the actual original release whenever we can, to just cover how it was actually first consumed, and then we get into bonus content later on. So here we go. Kicking off the album with the song Clouds and Rain. That you can hear that kind of sequencer. It sounds like Roger playing a fretless too.
Yeah.
The time is always now. The call is always loud.
Wow, it's been a while for me, so this is really bringing back memories.
Yeah, me too.
Without a sound. Love comes crashing in again. Brings along the clouds and rain.
What I really like about this song is just the melody.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
it's just really simple.
very simple and very simple, like little arrangement, those little staccato sort of plucked out chords.
Yeah. Gillan sounds great.
It sounds like a synth sort of backing vocal thing in there.
When you reach the clouds and rain.
I like that little guitar part that comes in.
And it's just so clean sounding and so simple.
This is the place I get the clearest.
It really sounds like a fretless, but you don't really. Roger doesn't often break out the fretless that I'm aware of.
I mean, it could also be a keyboard, right?
Yeah, it could be, if they could be using like the pitch wheel on the keyboard to achieve that effect.
It's a really relaxing
Sorry,
type
I
of
reached
song.
the end of my drink there. Yeah, it is a very relaxing, chill sort of vibe to this.
And then you start to wonder, will it ever end? I'd like to ask you just the same. Without feeling any shame.
But you have to wonder what were people expecting when they saw this album, and was this it? Probably not for a lot of people. But then, of course, that always begs the question with me: if you're expecting them to just do a side project album that sounds exactly like Deep Purple, like, what would be the point of that for anyone?
Right. Like that, it sounds like a keyboard clarinet.
I think this must be a real legit. Is that a legit sax? I don't know.
Or sax.
Yeah, that must be it. That must be it. That soprano sax. It looks like George Young.
Though I mean, the way it's produced, I mean, it's like so the album is so keyboard heavy. You don't know
Right.
what was the sounds were produced by keyboard and what was authentic. Of course, not that there's anything wrong with that. Like all of it fits the song.
Oh yeah. All right, there you have it. Clouds and Rain. John, what do you think of that track?
Waiting for my sheet to open.
I just mixed myself another young coconut drink here. So,
All right, where are we? Oh, there it is. Accidentally on purpose. Clouds and Rain. Oddly enough, that's even though it's a really kind of mellow opener, I think it's really appropriate for the album. I give it a 4.
all right.
I always liked it. It didn't go anywhere, but it didn't have to. It just kind
Yeah.
of stayed. It stayed where it was supposed to stay, and it picked up a little bit with kind of the drum rolls and the sax solo. What did I call it? A clarinet. That's a clarinet.
Yeah, you're not too far off. It's a cousin.
But
of the
wind,
sax.
a wind.
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought that it was a really good song. I have a lot of good memories associated with it. I always look forward to it.
You know what, John? You read my mind. I'm also giving this one a 4. Really like it as an opener. And we often, when we're looking at more hard rock stuff, we love those rockin' openers. But this one kind of really reminds me, for obvious reasons, of Elements. Just kind of a kind of sequenced backing track, like really mellow. And I love that album and the way it makes me feel. And I like this one too. And I think when you're in the mood for this kind of sort of relaxing thing and see a different side of Glover and Gillan that they didn't get to at this point probably capitalize on for 20 years. It's really, really cool to hear them in this context and just imagine them being. It sounds relaxing. It sounds like, oh, we got through the House of Blue Light and all that, and it was just really tense, and we weren't having that much fun, and now we're on the beach relaxing. It just feels like you're on the beach. That song feels like being on the beach relaxing. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's the young coconut talking, but I feel like I'm sitting on the beach listening to that, and you hear the sounds of the ocean or maybe it was the clouds and rain you hear as it begins, and it's just really cool.
Yeah, I feel like it really sets the tone for the album, even though the whole album is like eclectic and it's not just this style of music, but it all, as we'll see, it all just kind of fits in together.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So that brings us to our next track, which is called Evil Eye. Like Paula Abdul drums. You played that opening beat for someone who were like, who is this? Did we get like Janet Jackson or something,
It'd be like Phil Collins.
Oh, sure, yeah.
No, Phil Collins was really popular for doing that big electronic pop drum stuff in the 80s.
Which is funny given how amazing a drummer he is. he's like programmed drums.
Yeah.
So they said that this one was built over an African-inspired chant, which is what you're
Huh.
right here.
I can see that. I was gonna say the chanting part. I've always liked this song.
yeah.
It's a really good hook.
I love a little group vocal like that of just singing a cool melody or harmony and not even saying any words.
Yeah.
Glover says this is the first song that was inspired by their surroundings while they recorded.
And I guess the tone that these first two songs set for the album is just that kind of like, you know, electronic tone. Like, you know, we're not going to try and be like raw Deep Purple.
Right.
Like we're using the technology and the instruments and the sounds of today.
Listen to that.
Yeah.
Little synth solo here. Must be that Yamaha. And in Elements, Glover talked about like intentionally trying to avoid guitars at almost all. There's very, very little guitar on that album. And it sounds like they were kind of, this is like the logical next step from that is.
Right.
There's Elements, oh, it might have been Mask more where he was talking about not using guitar, I might be wrong. Little coconut there.
I like the introduction of the background singer in there with him.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of riffing in the background. Always liked that.
It's another one that kind of keeps the same overall idea throughout the whole song, but yet somehow works in a way that it doesn't seem like it's redundant. Just really setting a mood with this album. That's fun. We'll kind of end with just the vocals there.
And I mean, you know, you could say that, we've talked about, you know, choruses or, you know, hooks that have gone on for way too long instead of fading out or before fading out. And I don't know, I just think that that one wasn't one that stayed too long because it was just, it's pleasurable to listen to, you know, plus like the background singers were, you know, kind of doing something a little bit different over it. So it wasn't really building on an idea. It was just kind of, or moving anything along. It was just kind of, you know, being in that moment and enjoying it, I think. You know,
I
and
wish
just
I
like
knew which singer was the main one there that was really riffing, but that keeps it really interesting too.
mm-hmm.
All right, Evil Eye. You've heard of Demon's Eye. Well, this is Evil Eye.
I'm gonna give that one another 4.
All right.
You know,
We're coming in hot.
Coming in hot. Holy, bang zoom, Alice. I don't know where that came from.
Either.
But I think that right now we've had at least the first 2 songs just kind of established like, okay, this is a chill album.
Yep.
Like, you know, the songs don't have any like real dynamics in them. You know, we're not doing any complex arrangements. It's just, you know, good vibe
solos.
Yeah. Good vibe and music.
Yeah, I'll agree. And you know what? I'm agreeing with you again on the 4. I got to give it a 4. Just very enjoyable. Love. And maybe it's the new year. Maybe it's just being in the mood. Maybe it's the young coconut talking. But I think it's just it's a fun little start. Okay, and that takes us to the next track, which is called "She Took My Breath Away." I love it. It was like Yamaha fake shakers or whatever they have. Like every keyboard has that sound built in.
Yeah. Fake steel drums.
The fake steel drum sounds like a like Apple's new iOS ringtone or something. Like, they always change it to something like this.
But I mean, I think by this point, like, I was like, okay, it's okay that this is all like electronic music because this is what this album is going to be.
Yep.
And I like Gillan singing to that really, you know, low, breathy, kind of intimate, you know, style.
It's like, yeah, it almost feels like it's not even enough. It's almost enough to not even get the words out. So apparently Virgin wanted to make this the first single, but Gillan didn't like the idea and actually wanted the next track to be the first single. And it is really cool hearing an album like this that's got a little more in the way of dynamics and not just mastered to the hilt so that everything's super loud. And this reminds me of, even though it's not the same style at all, but it reminds me of late era Roger Waters' Pink Floyd, where he'd have one voice really in the background, like screaming the words, and then up close he'd go, well. He's like doing what Ian Gillan's doing right here.
Yeah.
And obviously it doesn't sound anything like Pink Floyd other than that, but it sounds like that same vocal effect of just being super close up on the microphone and barely getting the words out. This must be the flugelhorn. I'd recognize that flugelhorn anywhere. That is the flugelhorn playing of Randy Brecker. Yes.
There was no doubt, with eyes like a laser that sliced me in two. Her primitive signals upon me, her secret was out. Well, I know.
And this one, it sounds like, again, is using that sequencer, just arpeggiating the chords rather than doing the full stabs all together.
The rhythm of danger can't dance alone. Whatever the reason, it never was mine. I saw, I felt my life was going too fast.
That was like, he was holding on that chord for so, you're like, when is it gonna resolve? When is it gonna resolve? He just like had that tension just held steady for like 30 seconds.
She took my breath away.
I don't think he did that on the other verses.
She took my breath away. She took my life. She took my breath away. She took my soul. She took my breath away. Took my breath away. She took my breath away. She took my breath away.
Another super, super chill song. That really sounds like a real fretless bass. All right. And interesting that he's singing "She Took My Breath Away" in like the absolute most out of, like, using the least breath. She took my breath away. Like,
Yeah.
you don't often hear Ian Gillan not delivering vocals with full power like that.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the great things about this is, like you said, they were able to do something different, you know.
Yep.
I feel like this album has always been like more about building like different soundscapes than it is like we were saying before, complicated arrangements or anything like that. Like so far, these first three songs have been really kind of simple, but they've just been like, you know, with all of the, you know, electronic sounds, they're just kind of layering sounds to like get a certain feeling from it. And they're not going over the top. Like you haven't heard like Gillan multi-track any vocals or try and do any kind of screaming or like, even like his quirky stuff isn't like, weird quirky where you stop and you're like, huh? Like some of his lyrics can be. It's just like it's these guys just stretching out, like making a cool album.
Yep.
So I'll give this one a 3.5.
John, we're still in sync here. I'm also giving it
Lockstep.
3.5. Yep. Yep. For all the reasons you just stated. It's fun, chill, great way to start the new year. Great way to enjoy a tropical beverage. Okay. Next track up, we have the song is called Dislocated. This is the one that Gillan felt should be the first single off the album.
I always like this little.
Sounds like electronic cowboy music. Fun little horn section there.
Yeah, I thought that horn section was always the coolest part of this song to me. Always really stood out. Always kind of like really quirky. I like his all the little vocal things that are sprinkled throughout the song too. He has goofy.
So awesome.
I always love this, yeah.
This Takamine, that the kind of guitar he brought. Very weird lyrics. There was no guitar, there was no music, there was no lipstick, there was no bra. What are you talking about? Not that this would have been really appropriate or accepted on a Deep Purple album, but you can just hear that those levels of fun that were missing from House of Blue Light, where it felt like it was a chore for them to make it. I'm almost at, I'm in the end of my second coconut, John. That's it. Sorry.
That was
Like
fun.
a lot
fun
of those
song.
little asides and things in the song, like I couldn't. At first, I was like, "Is that John saying that, or is it from the song?" Done. So if you put enough alcohol in a coconut, does the electrolytes and the hydration power of the coconut just balance it out? Like, doesn't even count.
I don't know. It's kind of like one of those vodka and Red Bull situations.
Yes, I guess we'll see soon enough.
Oh.
All right, what do you think of Dislocated?
Dislocated is I'll give it a strong 3.5.
Mhm.
It's another good one. This is probably the quirkiest one on the album so far. I really like the way that the verses are, because they're not like, it's not a standard verse.
Mhm.
Gillan really does something interesting with the lyrics and the vocals, vocal melodies, during the verses. And then there's that whole breakdown section that we like.
Yeah.
I always loved that. I always thought that was great. Really, really catchy. And then the extended ending, which gave him like the chance to, be all wacky and make all sorts of crazy noises.
Yeah. I will also give it a 3.5. Still hanging in there together, exactly at the same level. But yeah, I think it's a fun song. I think it's like the lyrics the lyrics and the melody seem very kind of just tacked on. Like just kind of have it. I think with a more of a hook, I could go higher on the song, because the horn arrangement on it is just great. Those nice little tight little horn the horn riffs, if you will, that they're doing together just sound really, really cool. But yeah, it's a great, cool song. Fits in great with the album.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's something we forgot to mention in light of the new song, which I put in the notes and forgot to mention earlier, is we're going to be in Florida soon to celebrate Deep Purple's return to stage, their first show in almost 2 years. And we will be doing that via Miami, which is the name of the next song, Via Miami. So if you want to come out and have a little meetup with us, or or if you're going to be at the show, then this is your time to do it. We'll be in Hollywood, Florida. I don't know if that's technically Miami, or but damn close to Miami. We won't be flying into Hollywood. We will be flying into Miami. So, so maybe when we get there, we can listen to this at the hotel. This is Via Miami. Oh, you know what? Did I share this? I didn't share it. Let's go back. I killed the mood on that one. Via Miami. Moon's over Miami. Sounds like running down a dream. Another kind of electronic country.
Yeah. This is a little closer to what you might hear on a Deep Purple album.
Yeah. Glover compared the song to the Stray Cats and called it Elvis inspired.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I get that.
And so far, all of these songs have been co-written by Glover and Gillan. There are 2 covers on this album. It's actually really cool how they bring in these horn sections so late in the song. They kind of surprise you. They've done it twice so far. We're like, oh my goodness! All of a sudden, after a minute of playing, there's a full horn section.
This is really good. I like the way the horns color the song.
It's so weird the way he's doing that. It's like almost out of time. I don't know how he kept that all straight.
I love it though. Kind of makes me think of that Meatloaf song from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Which one is it?
There we go.
Gillan, the first Gillan scream of the album.
What the hell was it called? Hot Patootie, Bless My Soul.
Oh, okay.
Kind of this rockabilly type of song, very similar. You know, and like you were saying, like a digital western. You know, Stray Cats, Running Down a Dream. I mean, they're all good songs.
Can you do that other thing again? Via Miami, via. You're just gonna be improving at this one. We're coming to you at Hollywood via Miami. In a month's time. Never say no to a sax solo.
Especially a tasty one.
Yeah, this is a tasty one. I googled Rocky Horror Meatloaf, and you know that people ask section on Google.
Yeah.
People also ask, why is Meatloaf in Rocky Horror? Did they eat meatloaf in Rocky Horror?
Oh, Jesus.
Was Meatloaf famous before Rocky Horror? Like, why was Meatloaf in Rocky Horror? Like, I don't know. Like,
Because he auditioned?
what do you mean why? It's like a question a little kid would ask. Because he is like.
Nice.
Fun. All right, via Miami, via Miami, via Miami, via. What do you give the via Miami? I've said it so many times they don't sound like real words anymore.
Well, this has always been one of my favorite songs on the album, so I give this one a 4.5.
My goodness. Oh my god.
It's just got a lot of great elements in it. I mean, we talked about all of I mean, I never thought about it back then, but all of the different kind of songs or styles of songs that it made us think of. And I don't know, it's really a really kind of poppy and upbeat and enjoyable song. And it's like it could easily be one of those songs like that we always talk about, like the lazy blues song, or this could be the lazy rockabilly song or whatever. But
Yep.
I think they hit a home run with this one, because I mean, you know, you had Gillan singing great, you had some really cool music and production, you had a great sax solo. The end was a little bit long. I was looking at, like, what was it, like 3 minutes, and I saw that the running time was like
Yeah.
5, and I'm like, oh, how much more are they going to do with this? And I thought, like, okay, this might get a little much, but then the sax solo came in.
Mhm.
And I'm starting to feel that a lot of these songs are prolonged like that at the end, because it's not so much you know not knowing when to stop the song, but just being like, they're, like we've been saying, they're trying to create a mood for the album, and part of that is just doing a long jam and a solo. Like, this is the type of album where you put these songs on in the background and like have a good time and not
Yeah.
really pay attention to how long it is, instead of being like, Jesus, how long is this song going on for?
Yeah. I will give it a 3.5. I felt like at the three, I really like the song. I like the horn arrangement. I even like the ending. But yeah, I looked over at the point where I felt like this should be wrapping up, and it was the 3 minutes, and I thought, okay, we got 2 more minutes of this, and I think it was a very long. It wasn't a fade out, but they did cool things with it. They did some improv. They threw in that sax solo, and that was all awesome. But I felt like it could have been tightened up a little bit. You're talking a full, a little less than half of the song was just that kind of filler at the end. They could have faded it out a minute and a half earlier. They could have done a few other things, but it was fun. You know, I mean, they were having fun with it. It was a great solo. It was some fun improv. So I
Sure.
don't blame them for keeping it in. It seems like it didn't add a ton more to the song. Okay. So the next song reminds me. So, my sister-in-law's wedding, we flew in here, and the DJ was like, had everything going on the dance. This is relevant to our show. DJ, everyone is on the dance floor having a great time, boogieing up the night, just partying. Next song the DJ plays is Here I Go Again, the 87 version. Dance floor empties. No, because it's not, whatever you think about that song, it's like not really a song you dance to, right? Here I go again. You're like dancing at a wedding. It's just not a wedding dance song. The dance floor empties. There's nobody on it. They like pretty much like record scratched after like 30 seconds and then put on another song, got everyone back on the dance floor. But that makes me think of the next song, which is called I Can't Dance to That.
Well, yeah. I mean, have you ever heard the Sebastian Maniscalco?
Yeah,
where he's got his I can't dance to White Snake.
I have heard that, and that also made me think of my sister-in-law's wedding.
I can't do it. I can't dance to White Snake.
That's a pretty good impression.
Well, we're both Italian.
Hey, all right. I can't dance to that.
This riff reminds me of something, but I don't know what.
I've been thinking that the entire time. Oh, the money lender.
Okay, there you go.
Hear it? Yeah.
But this is another one that you might have found on a mid '80s Deep Purple album, just because of the guitar, the little more hard rockin' nature of it.
Yep.
And I like the track order of the album is really good too, because you see how it went from like kind of like this mellow electronica type music to like, got into a little more rockin', and now it's like, a little more rock, a little more guitar based. So I like the way that the album is flowing too.
Yeah. And this is cool because you're opening the second side with a really like a rocker,
But it's also very measured, you know what I mean? It's like nothing seems to go off the rails. Like it seems to be very like, very on time, very measured.
Yep.
Very intentional sounding.
This song almost sounds like it could be like a Morse era Purple song. That first proper guitar solo here. And that almost sounded a little Blackmore at the end.
Right?
This was the first song recorded when they were at their second phase in New York.
I like how he harmonizes at the end of that.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit of a, there's a little bit of a minor thing into that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really cool.
And this must be Ira Siegel is the only person other than the only person mentioned as far as guitar goes, but yeah, he did guitar on this song. Great playing. I love how it just kind of starts falling apart.
Oh, that's great. Because I forgot about how good the ending was, because it sounds like it fell apart. Like, you know how like a
Yeah.
demo where everything just kind of, but it sounds really intentional, because you could hear like the bass drum going, you know, as it starts to pull back together, and then
Yep.
kind of
Yeah,
ends.
it breaks down like 2 or 3 times and then kind of just manages to kick back in.
Right.
Um,
So it doesn't sound like you pressed like, you know, stop on the keyboard and everybody was just like, "Meh." You know.
you hear the plugs unplugging from the guitars, but it reminds me of you know, a million different songs we would have done in the studio, and you have this fade out planned, and then but you kept playing for 2 more minutes and it eventually falls apart. And it sounds like almost every song on this album was designed that way, to be like, okay, we're gonna fade this one out. Yeah, we'll just fade it out. Oh, we'll just keep playing. Yeah, we'll fade it out. And then they got to there and they're like, yeah, screw it, let's just leave it all in.
I mean, those are some of my favorite endings, you know, where you hear
Yeah.
like everything falls apart, and you hear like a drumstick fall, or somebody go like pull a plug out of a guitar, or you hear somebody in the background go, you know, and
Exactly.
people are talking and you hear like, you know, the sticks rattling, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's really cool.
Great. All right, so what do you rank I Can't Dance to That?
Well, I can dance to that, and I'll be dancing a 4 to it.
Oh, right, dancing the 4-step.
Yep. This is and you know, now that you pointed out that it was a faux Jesus Christ Superstar riff, makes
Or
me
Ian
like it
Gillan
even
band.
more. Yeah. I'm sorry, you said Moneylender. What was I
Yeah.
thinking?
Well, Moneylender, the Moneylenders from Jesus Christ Superstar, but Moneylender is
Right. It's
from
because
Ian
they're
Gillan.
and this was
But there's also, and I always make that connection with Ian Gillan band, Moneylender, and there's the
or maybe it
Moneylenders and
was
Jesus Christ Superstar. So I always,
or maybe it was maybe I thought the temple, but the temple was so
yeah.
I got them mixed up.
Yeah, that's similar enough.
But anyway,
yes.
Foley and Gillan, but either way, it was a familiar riff. It was cool. It wasn't like over the top. Like I like this because it was a, you know, it stayed within the pop realm. Like the guitar sounded like, you know, just kind of a for lack of a better word, like just a subdued like electric guitar. It wasn't like trying to be heavy. It wasn't trying to be like, oh, that sounds like, you know, like, you know who the guitar player is. It was just like probably a session player, like, oh, the Blackmore sound. It's just a good, you know, kind of rocking,
really good,
you know, 80s sound, you know, fits in with the album, you know, wasn't trying to do or outdo anything, because I think if you got a heavier tone in there, if you got like, say, if Ritchie played it, it wouldn't have fit in, because it wouldn't have fit the sound of the album. But I also like I said, how he, like I said, he's got a lot of good vocal melodies in this too. Like at the end was you know, which I thought was really interesting, you know. And I think that's the thing about it. He does a lot of interesting things in this, like maybe not like difficult or virtuoso, but interesting. And I still think that has, you know, a lot of merit, you know.
I agree. I will also give this one a 4. Thought it was really enjoyable. A little bit the most rockin' song so far. And it's just a ton of fun. So, all right, that brings us to our next track, which is I Can't Believe You Want to Leave, or Wanna Leave, I should say. And this is a song by one Richard Penniman, otherwise known as Little Richard. And this has Dr. John on it. You can hear that Dr. John groove.
like how overdriven a little bit his vocals are.
Yeah, it's great.
You know, it almost sounds like he was like going into the red, and they just left it. You know, because it didn't quite clip, but it just almost did. It's a great vocal performance by him.
Yeah, it's outstanding.
It's another one of my favorite songs on this album.
This really reminds me of like the Elvis song he does on Shirkazoo.
Mm-hmm. And I just I like seeing him like open up and just doing a little bit more of his range. You know, it's nice to hear some familiar Ian Gillan vocals in here.
Got a great swing to it. It's funny because it started off sequenced and electronic drums, and it's morphed into this kind of rock thing on the second side, which is a lot of fun.
The sax is back there. He's like, I'm staying at the party.
Gonna take a lot more than Dr. John to kick me out. I just love Dr. John. Nice. Reminds me of anytime we were in the studio with Dave, I'd always like be giving him the look, don't do it, don't do it, don't, and he, like, let the note fade out, let it fade out, and he was looking at him like,
one of the things I remember that you hated was he had that what did he have? He had that what was it, a splash cymbal?
oh, splash symbol, yeah.
On his kit, and like you hated that he had it on there. You're like, don't use it. You'd be like, all the
symbol is the size of like a silver dollar. It was so small. I don't even know how you hit it.
Like playing this heavy song, and he'd be like, boom, boom. You'd be like, why do you keep using that? And we loved it. Like me and E-Rock loved it, but it was like
we were doing a heavy metal album, and he's throwing it this little like you see like a little monkey with a fez on playing this thing.
Like, and you heard like I don't remember, I don't think like you weren't getting like annoyed mad. You were just kind of like, come on, man, don't use that. Like you were just kind of like pleading with him not to
please
use.
I'm begging you, we're making a heavy metal album here. which
the question is so all right, why was it even on the drum?
Right, I should have just unscrewed it, and like when he was not looking and just hit it somewhere, he would have
probably wouldn't have known.
He
would have gone for it. He would have gone for it and been like, he would have been like, hey,
I gotta dig out those old masters again and listen to them, because you probably hear that thing peppered throughout the heaviest music we've ever recorded. It's all these little splash cymbals throughout it.
Or is that and the China Boy were my favorite. I'm just like, I want that.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't know anything, so I'm just like, I want
China Boy would work, but
yeah, it does. And I'm like, I'd be like, I want to use that symbol that goes. And you're like, the China Boy. I'm like, yeah, that, or like I wanted to use the one that goes. And you're like, no, you don't want to.
No, you don't. No, you don't. As a producer, I'm vetoing that. All right, I can't dance to that. What do you rank that one?
You mean I can't believe you want to leave.
I'm sorry. I can't.
Yeah, I can't.
I can't. Okay, Can't Believe You Want to Leave.
Well,
How do you rank it?
I can't believe I'm going to do this, but 5.
Oh,
Hi-oh! I mean,
holy smokes.
now keep in mind, like I had haven't heard this album in a while.
Yeah.
And I knew that this was one of my favorite songs, but listening to it now and just like listening to like Gillan, especially when he was like hitting those, he wasn't even hitting high notes like when, like Child in Time high notes. It's like when he was singing with a lot of passion in this song. And then like it gave me chills in some parts. And I'm like, oh man, that's why I like this song. And plus, like what you said is it has the swing in it that the earlier songs didn't. And you'd think like, okay, like an album full of electronic synths and drums and stuff like that, and keyboard patches and stuff. How can you have a lot of swing with that? And I feel this one was like a little more organic, and probably based on like the original version. They were probably like, yeah, let's go a little more old school with this or whatever. But just the passion that he sang with, and like just it's a great song to begin with. So it really, like, I love this version. I mean, what's not to love about the original? I mean, little frickin' Richard. And so, I mean, I think that Gillan
and middle name.
Yeah, little F.
Richard.
Yeah, little F Richard. A little F Richard. Little freaking Richard, man. But I think Gillan and Glover definitely did this song justice. Like this is a good cover.
Yes, I agree. I'm going to give it a 4.5. I think it's really strong. All the stuff you cited, it's concise too. They didn't go too long with this one.
Right.
And I think it's like Gillan had some great I hate to keep comparing this to House of Blue Light, but I think it's warranted given its relationship to that album.
But you can't not compare it to it because they were so close together, and like in
this was kind of
when they were recording.
Was kind of a byproduct of that album was this. This doesn't happen without House of Blue Light, and with House of Blue Light, well, Gillan had some really great performances. Even Ian Gillan, I don't want to say phoning it in because he never phones it in, but Gillan, when he's not 100% psyched about something, delivers an amazing performance. And on House of Blue Light, he has a lot of great moments and delivers a lot of great vocal performances. He doesn't not deliver great vocal performances because he's Ian Gillan. But when you hear him do something like this, you can see that his heart is so much more into it than I don't even think of like a random song off of House of Blue Light, but something like anything off of House of Blue Light. You can just really feel that he is 100% invested in that moment and having a blast and singing a song that he loves from one of his heroes. So it's very evident. It comes across really strong, and I think just having that passion, and the band seems behind it. The story goes that I guess they had lined up Dr. John to be there. He was supposed to be there at 3:00. He didn't show up until almost 6. They were like getting annoyed, like, he lives right near here, what's going on, is he not going to show? And then he shows up and he's like, I'm sorry, I was in New Orleans the night before and I was late or whatever. And they recorded it live in the studio, like the whole band doing the song live, which is not surprising listening to it.
It shows.
And Gillan says about the song, he says when he listens to it now, it still sends shivers up and down my doodabs.
Of course, he says doodabs.
Doodabs. I like that one. So yeah, great performance.
Excellent.
Great song, great energy behind it. It shows that it's a live performance, live in the studio. So there you go. And he takes us to our next track as we round up the second side here. This song is called Lonely Avenue. The electronics have taken back over. Sounds like we've returned back to Montserrat here.
Well, my room has got 2 windows, but the sun shall never come through. It's always dark and lonesome since I broke off, baby, with you. I live on a lonely avenue. My girl wouldn't say I do. I feel so sad and blue, and it's all because of you. You know I could cry, I
I love that part.
That's sending a few shivers down my doodabs. Assuming
I just
now
think
you know
that
what
the
doodabs are.
I think kind of like in the verses, kind of like the obvious rhyme scheme that he's using is kind of like, you know, blue and you and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that that part with the background singers saves it because it's
Yes.
just so damn good. And
This
plus his
song-
performance too. Like if you don't listen to the words, it's a really
And again, he's up close and personal with the mic. He's singing at a very low volume. It's a cool, mellow beach Gillan.
yeah.
And this song was on the Rain Man soundtrack,
Oh,
interestingly. And I have not seen Rain Man in a long time, so I do not remember what part of the song, what part of the movie it's from. Whoever she is, she's awesome. Money child. This is so minimalist too. You've got almost like whole note beat going on the drums.
yeah.
You get this little don't on the synth. And it's really Gillan and the background singers carrying the whole tune.
Mm-hmm.
And carrying it very well, I might say. All right, Lonely Avenue, John. What do you say about that one?
I mean, I really like it, but I'm just having I'm going back and forth on what I should give it.
Do you need some time?
Because it's teetering.
Take all the time you need, John. We
You
don't
know what?
wanna rush on this.
I'm gonna give it a 4. I mean, I don't hate the lyrics, but it's just like you know the type of Gillan lyrics that I don't really
Right, yeah.
love is just like, you know, rhyming you with blue and, you know, all that kind of stuff. It just sounds so
When it's
Yeah,
when,
you know.
when you hear the next line coming like a mile away, you're like, oh, he's gonna say blue, he's gonna say
Yeah.
you. 10
Yeah,
seconds
kinda-
in advance, you've already figured out what the lyrics are.
right, a little sophomoric sounding, almost like beginner lyric
Yeah.
writing. But I think what saves it is that the performance is like his vocals and talking about the effects that are on his vocals too. I know that sometimes like that excuse me, that like kind of slap back delay that was on like, you know, Via Miami and stuff is like annoying, or like this kind of really, you know, process type of sound that was on his voice on this song, for instance, you know, could annoy me. Like think of Glenn Hughes and Play Me Out. Right.
Yep.
But on this album, it doesn't annoy me. I think it adds to it. And you know, maybe it's the, you know, production of it. I mean, you know, you got Glover involved, and I mean, we know that he's a, you know, excellent producer, you know, engineer. Yeah, you know, so he obviously had some input in that. But I just think that like the background singers, the female background singers with Gillan and everything make it despite the lyrics. So I was gonna give it a 3.5 because I'm like, yeah, I'm not crazy about the lyrics. But you know what? If you don't really listen to them, you know, it's like a lot of this album is just kind of like, you know, if you just kind of close your eyes and go like this, you know, and just like nod your head and everything, especially songs like this, they're just really excellent, you know. And I just think that so far this album is great at like building a mood, you know.
Yeah.
And that
And I
mood is
think
awesome.
the production on this song is really cool. I love the minimalist approach for this. I give it a 4 as well. I think it's just a really cool, especially where it is placement in the album. It's the middle of the second side. We're just gonna start winding down the album now. After this, it's cool to have this little interlude towards the end. I would equate it with like a you know uh,
Come on,
what's
hurry
what's
up.
this time
What?
around kind of feel. It's what's my favorite song again? This time around, like leading into like you get two rockers after that. It's kind of positioned in the same place in the album to kind of get this little cool little vignette
Gotcha.
almost more than a song. And I really like it. I think it's super cool. All right. So that takes us to the second to last song on this album. And that is a song that is, of course, titled, as I think we previously alluded to, or maybe we didn't, but it is Telephone Box. Cool orchestrated bass line there. What was that?
I don't want you ding-a-linging on my bell. And then you heard a little ding, ding, ding.
That's great.
Oh, that's so good.
That is really good.
There's so many good grooves on this album. I like completely forgot. I've been sleeping on this album for too long.
You can hear this little riff here being brought into a Deep Purple context and turned into a Deep Purple song. Maybe even easier than any of the other songs on this album. The background vocals on this album are just
Yeah, I mean,
incredible, too.
yeah, the addition of like the soul singers in the background of this album was a great move.
I mean, I can't really think of a situation where that wouldn't improve anything. It should be on every album as far as I'm concerned.
And I mean, even the rhythm section, like, you know, the drums aren't doing too much, but you just hear the bass is just kind of thumping along in the background and really holding it down in the back, especially in the bridge. I feel like this is like could be like more of a muted John Lord solo. Like if this were a Deep Purple song, this would have been more of like the, you know, one of the less complex John Lord solos, you know?
Yep.
Like I could picture him doing this.
There's Ian on the harmonica.
Nice.
Thought he was gonna take it one more. Oh! What? He usually goes that one last step, you know.
Nope, he tricked us.
He's like, I'm a little more restrained. I'm on island time.
Not I.
What's you?
Oh, they're bringing it down.
Oh, he did say long grass. Eddie Van Halen in the background there.
Yeah, I noticed it, but you know how notice how like faded out in the background it is?
Yeah, it's pretty cool though. There's a lot going on right now.
Yeah.
Not now.
Oh no! Not now!
Of course, it's Gil. It's
It
Gillan,
sounds-
so it gets super literal at the end. A phone has to ring.
I just like it's like not now. And that's just how it ends, and you're like, okay.
So I guess he doesn't want to call right now. So
Oh,
a
of
little
course,
bit about
yeah.
a little bit of information about the song. So the genesis of this. So this song reached number 15 on the U.S. Billboard chart. So
Hmm.
imagine that. There must have been a radio edit because that's like over 5 minutes long. But so Gillan tells a story on the last Purple tour, which would have been House of Blue Light. He and Roger were on a no, maybe it was Perfect Strangers because this was right after. So at any rate, Ian tells a story there. They decided that he and Roger were going to take a bus instead of the plane, so they could kind of take their time and go across. And there was a toilet on the bus, and inside of the toilet was a phone. And one of his friends came on the bus and was like, "Hey, could I use this to call my family?" And apparently, I don't know if it was the driver or whoever, but they basically explained like the only thing the phone can do is call the driver. Like you can't call out on it. So I guess if you're in the toilet, you could just call the driver. Hey, what's going on, buddy? And just talk to him while you're pooping or something. It seems a little,
Just like, hey, you want to try and avoid some of those potholes so I don't get Poseidon's kiss going on over here?
It would be in your best interest to drive nice and slow, nice and steady.
That's the
Nice
way to
and
do
slow,
it.
See, that's the way to do it.
Like don't change lanes for the next several minutes. Like,
Yeah, exactly. No lane changes. I don't want to hear that directional click clacking. Just keep it nice and steady.
Trying to
We're
do my
driving through
business.
Iowa, this should be easy, buddy.
I want everything to stay where it's supposed to stay.
So I guess the friend's response to that, this will only call the driver, was, "Who wants to live in a telephone box?" I don't know why he would have said that. But
Right.
But of course, like they were like, that would be a great idea for a song about a telephone box. And that's inspired what we just heard. So there you go, telephone box. What do you rank telephone box?
All right. So I just lost
If you were on Route 66 in a tour bus toilet, who would you call?
The driver.
Well, I guess that would be
that's all I could call is the driver, right?
Yeah, well, but imagine a world where you could call more than the driver.
I don't know. I got a couple of friends that I wouldn't mind calling while I'm on the can. They'd understand.
They'd understand.
Hey, I have a few right now that I talk to, and I'm just like, yeah. So anyway, and I hear like, and I'm like, are you on the toilet right now? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, all right. I mean, I guess we'll just keep talking. I mean, it's been this way the whole time.
Yeah.
What's different, except I know now.
If you didn't hear those noises, it would still be true. Although I would prefer not knowing.
Or you don't hear anything, and then you hear, and then you go, were you crapping the whole time? It's like, yeah. I'm like, oh man. But hey, in this day and age, I mean, it's like
in this modern technology with these cell phones,
bring the freaking phone anywhere, it's like, holy cow. But anyways, yes, back to 1987 when all you could call was the driver.
Mm-hmm.
So this was another one I was going back and forth on, but I really feel that it's got a strong enough groove and I like it enough to give it another 4.
All right.
Yeah. I think Yeah, any shortcomings that the song has, I think is far outweighed by like the groove and you know, the vocals, the cool melody. Um yeah.
Yep. Well, you said it all, my friend. Another agreement from me. Fun song, great groove, great little great little bass line going on there.
Yeah.
It's got kind of everything. It's really great. All right. That brings us to the farewell track on this album. You might have thought that this album was going to go on forever, but I thought no. So this is another one from back on Montserrat. Obviously Gillan on harmonica. Gillan's playing guitar on this one.
Oh,
Roger doing bass, piano, and drums.
And then she came through the door, her high heels clacking on the floor.
You really hear the room
I was pissed,
on his vocals.
yeah.
blue. I had
Yeah, you can tell this is more of an organically recorded track.
I had to know what was going on. Is this a natural born blonde? She gave the game away.
Classic Gillan.
The way she crossed her legs. I was a gambling man, but too proud to beg. Something told me it was time to go. But then again I thought no.
I could also hear this being like a more modern, I should say, Deep Purple.
Hmm.
One of the standard like blues throwaway songs that they throw on their albums.
It didn't take more than a minute. She blew me right away. It didn't last more than an hour when she told me it was time to pay. My investigations came to a sudden end when she introduced me to a friend. Well, I don't exaggerate, but he was 9'4", and he banged my head before he slammed the door. I thought, was this his way of saying hello? But my black eye thought no.
I what thought no?
His black eye.
Oh.
Because the guy 9'4" punched him in the face, apparently.
Must have to really reach down low.
I mean, he's really going to town on this harmonica here.
Yeah, he's showing no mercy. Oh, so I think this might be our first fade out on the album.
Yeah.
All right. I thought no. John, what do you think about this song?
I thought 3. It's not bad, but it's I feel like it's got some good, like, you know, it's got a good groove to it, but honestly, like, just that loud in your face harmonica, like in between like every verse, was just too much for me.
Yeah.
And it was really one of those songs that, like, not that any of these songs like really went anywhere, but this one just kind of didn't really go anyplace. Yeah, it reminded me of like maybe a Cher Kazoo outtake or something, you know.
Yep.
I don't know, but it wasn't bad. I mean, if this is like probably the lowest I've rated a song on the album, and it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of a little bit of a thud to end the album with, but not terrible. Just not one of my favorite songs, and it's mostly because of that. Although I will say that, you know, it was nice to hear the kind of organic sound of Gillan and Glover, like you know, overdubbing the instruments and just having that live feel after a really kind of 80s centric, you know, electronic sounding album.
Yeah.
And it still fit in. That being said, it still fit in with the rest of the album.
Yeah. Interesting choice to close it with this one, but I also agree 100% with you. Give it a 3. Yeah, it just
He agrees. It's a 3. He
I
thought
agree.
no.
It's a 3.
He had to
I
go.
thought no. I had to go. 9 foot 4. But yeah, it's just whenever I hear a song like this, like unless it's got something really to set it apart and to really jazz it up, when you get to the throwaway kind of boom, boom, boom 1-4-5 song, you're just like, okay, I get it. I mean, it's almost at this point, can you even take writing credits for it? It's been done a million times. They did it really well. It was, you know, enjoyable. It wasn't bad. It's just not breaking with so many other really cool tracks on here that are kind of breaking some new ground and doing something different. To end it with like a very, very standard kind of barroom blues song was just whatever. But anyway, that's my rankings for that. So
All right. So our rankings are not showing up on the album part of it here.
ooh, let me see. Let me take a look. That means I must have spelled something wrong. Let's see here. Gillan and Glover accidentally on purpose. What is missing here? Okay, that worked. Let's try this. Hey, fixed.
Hi-oh, there we go.
Well, before you get to that though, if you we're gonna leave you on a cliffhanger. If you want to hear how this album stacks up, well, you're gonna have to hang around because first we have to thank, who is it? Of course, it's our foundation level patrons. Coming in at the $3 Nobody's Perfect tier, we have Peter Gardeau, Ian DeRosier, Mark Roback, Duncan Leask, Stuart McCord, and Flight of the Rat Bat Blue Light. And at the $1 made up name tier, we have the Leaky Pot from Montserrat, Leaky Mausoleum, Steven Somerville, Looking Shadow 1999 Fanatic, Raf Calf, Spike the Rock Cat, JJ Stenard, Hank the Tank, Private Eyes, and Ashen Lionel. Thank you so much for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast. And John, where do we come in on Accidentally on Purpose?
Accidentally on Purpose falls, looks like in the somewhere in the middle here, somewhere in the maybe the higher middle. Yeah, we both pretty much rated the same. I rated a little bit higher because I had a couple of songs that I really liked. It was a 7.75, which is right below Love Hunter by Whitesnake and right above Born Again.
Ooh, when you say it that way, I feel like some people are going to have issue with that. Those are some pretty big albums.
Yeah, that's yeah, but you know what? I mean, it's
Well, that being said, if this album was a Black Sabbath album, or if this album was a Whitesnake album, we might take that into account in rating it, because it would be a very weird Whitesnake or Black Sabbath album. But for what it is, it really hits the mark very well.
well, yeah, it's a Gillan Glover project. So I mean, you know, I mean, we rated accordingly, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, that's one of the more interesting kind of places where I think an album has fallen. Although I think it's interesting that, like, you know, a Gillan lead vocal falls next to another Gillan lead vocal in like two kind of separate Purple related projects.
Very, very different ones. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
So yeah, it's definitely a good listen. I enjoyed it after not hearing it for a while, and it's definitely going to be on that definitely going to be on the Florida playlist.
Oh yeah, you gotta definitely listen to this one in Florida. I might listen to it on my drive into work tomorrow. Um,
Yeah,
okay,
why wait? Why wait?
exactly. Why wait till Florida? All right, so that was Accidentally on Purpose. A little bit of a wrap up here after all of the recording. They flew back to Montserrat to mix the album, and then went on tour with Deep Purple. They said they weren't happy with the mixes, so at the end of the tour, they returned to the power station and mixed the album again. Gillan said there was a lot of skepticism or cynicism about their motives behind doing this album, but both said it was just some fun. They went back to New York to do overdubs when Ritchie ended up breaking his thumb when they're on tour. Ritchie did one of his things where he throws his guitar up in the air. He caught it a little goofy, broke his,
Oof.
it was his thumb or his finger.
Ooh.
At any rate, he broke something on his hand, and they had to take a little time off, and that gave him a little time to finish things up. So there's a great review by Mike Ladano on his website of this album. He's got great reviews of anything Deep Purple you search. He's got a really detailed, great review of it. So he says, Accidentally on Purpose probably kept Ian and Roger sane at the time. That has to be why it sounds so gleeful. They needed this. Does a Deep Purple fan need this? No, but they'll find some good times there regardless, which I think is a pretty good encapsulation. In the Kerrang article, Gillan says, I'm sure we will piss off a lot of Deep Purple fans who will buy our album thinking they'll hear watered down Deep Purple or something, but we don't want to do that. And from the liner notes from the release from, I forgot which release this is. It might be the 2010 re-release. Gillan says, we kind of moved on after this record. However, I look back on it with great affection and certainly consider it one of the top 5 records of my career. It's the chemistry, or more accurately, the alchemy that turns the ingredients into gold. When you remove Pace, Lord, and Blackmore from the equation and put two mates together on a Caribbean island to write and then to NYC to record, and then to add Maestro Nick Blagona to the mix, it's like getting time off for bad behavior. You don't necessarily deserve it, but what wicked fun it can be. It's a cool little thing there. Do I have any? Jorg sent me some really great stuff about this album. Here's a couple of quick ones here. So this is from the record Mirror. What? Not another Deep Purple spinoff? Well,
I've never seen that picture.
The picture is a variation on him screaming at Gillan. Gillan looks deranged, and Roger Glover's like just staring at him. So I guess the thrust of this photo shoot was like, Glover, give random disapproving looks to Ian, and he'll just react or not react. So Ian Gillan, it says Ian Gillan and John Glover have popped off to the studio, which is funny.
Jesus Christ.
I know. Oops.
People
have popped off into the studio to make a single called Dislocated. And no, it's nothing at all like you might imagine, taking into consideration the pair's roots. Glover, of course, is no stranger to the poppier side of things, and Dislocated is a curiously catch ditty that bounces along on the back of a few trumpet stabs until you can't help but tap the old foot. The Christians and ABC gave it the thumbs up on Singled Out recently, so it could be a novelty Christmas hit for Deep Purple pair. Never fear, though. The duo have stressed that Deep Purple is still very much alive, and well, phew, we can all sleep easy then. Oh, John Glover. And then there's a little ad for it, a little black and white ad. So this is a review, a 4-star review from Paul Sexton, unknown publication. Accidentally on Purpose. Good title, because as well as being an LP that Ian Gillan and Roger Glover happened to think up when they were working on Deep Purple record, it's also an album you might accidentally on purpose end up liking. Sadly, the Purple image will work against them, but the Deep duo have come up with an impressively varied set of songs with a stab of jazz, a good wedge of rhythm and blues, and some rock and roll, and generally much more fully rounded LP than they could ever make with a hard rock band. That goes in to talk about some of the individual tracks. 3 extra tracks in the CD too, including another good cover, the deep and meaningful Purple People Eater. Yum yum. So we'll get into that on our bonus episode one day. Another She Took My Breath Away single ad. This is the Kerrang article, which I'm not going to go through the entire thing, but maybe I'll put the link in the show notes. And this is another 4-star review from Metal Hammer UK. You'd think Metal Hammer would be a little
a little more harsh on them, right?
A little more critical on this, because it's as it is not metal. But the first line of the review is an album that should be taken in the spirit it was made in, a piece of serious fun and a chance for two musicians to dabble in some other shades besides purple. So I think that kind of sums it up. It's a really good good
Nice.
article. Another thing from Kerrang with your favorite picture there. They give it 3 Ks. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. Some few good reviews courtesy of Mr. Planer. Thank you so much for helping out and sending those over. But yeah, that's kind of that is Accidentally on Purpose. I had a blast listening to this again.
Me too.
And so we'll have to put this on our playlist for when we're in Miami. Listen to it soon, and you should listen to it too. And for all of those of you that have been begging us over the years to cover this album, well, it's done. So you have to come up with another one to harangue us about.
I'm sure they will.
I'm sure they always do. Our amazing listeners always do. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in this week, and we will see you back next week with another one.
Thank you for listening to the Deep Purple Podcast. If you like what you hear and would like more episodes in the future, please donate on Patreon to support the show. You can also leave us a review in Apple Podcasts to help new people discover the show. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for show updates. See deeppurplepodcast.com for more details. Thank you for listening.